All right, we're back with Behind the Knowledge. This time we have our very own Lindsay Andrew. Of course, I have Todd here. He wants to make sure I don't forget to say his name, like this like turd bag right here.
Hey, all right, we got Lindsay Andrew. Tell us your coaching journey.
No.
Welcome to Behind the Knowledge, a best hour podcast where we dive deep into the lives and stories of inspiring coaches from all walks of life. The two hosts of this show are me, Pat Barber, and my good friend and fellow coach, Todd Occhiuto. Each week, we'll sit down with the most amazing coaches we can find, uncovering their unique pasts, the challenges they've faced, and passions that continue to drive them. Whether you're a seasoned coach, an aspiring one, or simply somebody who likes listening to stories of how people achieve the success that they have, this podcast is for you. So sit back, relax, and get ready to be inspired by the powerful stories and insights from the world of coaching. This is Behind the Knowledge. Let's jump in.
And
But we have our very own Lindsay Andrew. Lindsay is definitely iconic when it comes to everyone here at Best Hour. She came on board to do coaching development stuff with regards to reviewing videos and everything in between, and she's elevated through those ranks now doing sales and also is just like continued to develop as a person through the years that I've known her. And I coached with her at her gym years ago for a level 1 at Max Effort. Were you on staff then first, or because I think the first time you weren't?
Yeah, no, I met you like many moons ago.
Right.
Iconic. That's thank you for that adjective.
100%. But I think
would you say the gym was iconic or
No,
I
me.
think Lindsay is
iconic.
for the Best Hour team. Like if you've been a part of this stuff, you've been had your homework reviewed by Lindsay.
Iconic, Todd.
You mean what happened at the last?
No, that's not what I mean.
Let's not bring up old stuff. I don't want to. Yeah, I know.
Okay.
We're gonna go way old
We're gonna
when
go
we
way
first met.
Yes. Tell me when we first met
that
in your
was
mind.
iconic.
I'm
back then,
so. Todd, God.
I've got some iconic Lindsay Andrew stories.
I'm excited to hear
Let's not talk about them. Okay. Embarrassing moments, really. We originally met when we were hosting tons of seminars at CrossFit Max Effort at the original location at the Sports Center. So you were on staff. Zach was on staff at that point. I was not, but you were traveling to the gym, and I got to observe many seminars. And you know, there's Pat Barber, the manimal, you know.
That was back
Just
when
because you're hairy, is that why you got that name?
I think that was Savon. Savon was like, you're part animal, part man. I'm going to call you the manimal. And I was like, okay, Savon.
That was
sounds
a really good impersonation.
Was that a Savon
yeah,
impression?
That was good.
We'll send it over to him.
Okay, great.
I'll
He's
see if he likes that one.
Cancel us. Okay.
Can he? He doesn't
don't know.
cancel others. It's not his gym. But yeah, no, I've watched your development for a long time, and I kind of watched it from afar. Like you've had many iterations of Lindsay, and you came on staff. You were doing everything with staff, and then you've traveled around the world a few times. You've had this social media presence that's blown up and been enormous, which you're currently wrestling with. But
yeah, you can go back and see the different iterations. Just scroll back long enough.
Please,
but
they're all on there.
They're all on there. That's a long scroll.
That's what I'm saying. They're all on there.
But your journey hasn't been particularly linear. It hasn't been like, and we're just gonna be straight here and no ups, no downs. We're just gonna be. But that's wonderful. And like I came on staff and I hadn't seen you deliver information, or came on Best Hour staff and hadn't seen you deliver information in forever. So I didn't know what to expect. And I'm really judgmental of coaching capacity. Like that's what I've done for a long time. And I'm
I love the way you detailed that. And I'm really judgmental.
Well, 100%. Like,
so if you're listening to this and you've interacted with Pat, just know he's
judging you.
Well, but that, I mean,
Same.
this whole concept though of like not judging others, it's weird to me. It's like my judgment should have no bearing on who you are, like, or how you do things. Like, I could judge. I can be like, yeah, those are stupid dress. Like, and you should be like, yeah, you're that's exactly. And shrug it off in my mind. But it's whether or not I relay that to you in a way that you can understand. Anyway.
Yeah.
But I came on board and I got to see you do homework reviews and lead calls, and I was genuinely blown away. And I've said this elsewhere, but I was like, holy crap, Lindsay's gotten really good at what she does. So it was a true joy for me to like see you excel the way you have and have that capacity. So you're obviously here because you're awesome at what you do, and we want to hear your journey.
That's one of those cool. Did it kind of feel like a backhanded compliment? Like
No.
that almost made it sound like you were so bad when I knew you before. The fact that you're good now blows me away, and I can't stop talking about it. Is that what it was, Pat?
No, I took that as my journey has been long. But it's been cool to see the progress. I love this.
Yeah.
Is like the great equalizer here. It's like
Yes.
you're pumping me up and you're just bringing me right back
that's
down.
that's what I do best. I judge you externally. He does it internally. I go ahead and put it out
Just
there.
say it out to
Yeah,
public.
yeah.
Okay, great.
The irony of people probably meeting both of us would be like, this guy's really nice to Todd. And
He's
they'd
an
be like,
asshole,
this
yeah.
guy's an asshole. It's like, but once you get to know me, I'm actually pretty nice.
And I'm actually an
Todd's
asshole. Yeah, that's
actually an
probably
asshole.
about, yeah,
This
that sounds
is
about
like
right.
the best dynamic on the planet. I love this so
Oh,
much.
it was good. So you started. So you were running Max Effort, and like, well, actually, you know what? Go back to the very beginning of your coaching journey. When did you start coaching? What was the very first thing you coached?
So I started coaching in 2010, I believe it. No, 2009. 2009, yeah. So I started CrossFit in 2008, started coaching in 2009, and at this point,
And coaching CrossFit was the first thing you'd ever coached?
Yeah, I'd never
Okay.
done like personal training or anything like
Okay.
that. So what's hilarious to me at this point in my career, and I think has been funny about my entire career, was that I never wanted to coach. I wanted nothing to do with anything physical fitness or public speaking. Like when I found CrossFit, I was working in the nightlife industry in Las Vegas. It's totally opposite lifestyle, vampire status, lots of drinking and unhealthy behavior, and enter CrossFit, and that started changing for me. And I was encouraged at that point to consider coaching. And I was like, no, I don't want to be responsible for how other people feel, or, I like what this does for me. I don't really want to do that thing. Then I started doing the thing. And what ended up happening is the evolution of me being in this industry that was wildly unhealthy physically and psychologically. I no longer, that didn't resonate with me anymore. I was like, this is not, I'm like ruining people's livers, also their credit, because I'm making them spend so much money.
Right.
And I'm like, this is so toxic, and I don't want to do it. So then I transitioned and I started one-on-one. I coached one of my really good friends first, and I made so many mistakes, but the process, I would encourage people at level 1 to like start with one person, then add another. And that was my path. Then when the opportunity came up to affiliate, I became part owner, 50-50 owner of CrossFit Max Effort. So I went from, group coaching, and then figuring that I actually really enjoyed other people's successes far more than my own. And, relating to people and helping people change the trajectory of not just their health, but psychologically for them, wherever they were at, was really powerful. So then when the opportunity for affiliation came up, did that. Then the evolution from that was watching Zach be on seminar staff and wanting to travel and teach seminars. So then I pursued that and then did that thing. And then meanwhile, like had our original location, moved to a larger location. So affiliate ownership at the end of that, had 2 locations that were really large. And then just kept chipping away at that. And so here I am now, and it's been almost 17 years.
Isn't that wild?
Since I started. It's wild. It's crazy.
So if we go back to the beginning, you went from I want no business dealing with other people, like in term and being responsible for them. Because that's a common thing. I think someone like, where does the not desire? What was the hurdle that you had to overcome to be like, I don't want to be in charge of someone else? Because that's a real thing. To being like, I think I can. Like, what was the mental shift, or what did you do, or did you fake it to make it? What was that process?
Or who convinced you to finally
so
start
Zach,
working with that first person?
So Zach actually was a person who was like, I really think that you'd enjoy this. And I was like, I don't really think that I would. And then as I started transitioning out of the nightlife industry, I was like, maybe I should give it a shot and just see. And it was a very quick realization for me that I'm like, oh shit, I actually really love this. And it's hard and it's challenging in a different way, and I have no idea what I'm doing, but I'm going to figure it out. So it was just I'm going to give it a shot. There was no like, yeah, I think I can. I think it was more like in the beginning, fake it till you make it. Not be fake, but just try and see what happens.
What part of coaching initially, like, did you feel like was easier or harder for you? Was the information easy? Was the delivery easy? Like, what did you initially like connect with as like, oh, I can do this?
The peopling aspect, I think, was the first thing. It's like, I can talk to people and I'm not afraid to make a mistake.
Right.
Like, I know that mistakes are going to happen, but I know that that's part of the process. So being able to stumble and just make a joke out of it.
Right.
And then carry on.
Carry on. You
Sorry,
didn't
that
see
was
that.
absolutely terrible. Let's not do that.
Right.
And then move on. Yeah.
But you probably didn't have the like preconceived of like it needs to be, I need to know everything, because you knew you didn't. You was like, okay,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
So once you started transitioning, you worked with that first athlete, and you went on to become a co-owner of Max Effort. How much were you coaching? I know you were doing a lot of the business and admin stuff, but like what did your coaching journey look like as far as how much were you on the floor coaching? And then once you wanted to pursue the seminar staff stuff, like what was your direction and what'd you do specifically to start working on that?
Yeah. So in the very beginning, like I worked with my friend Ruby, and we had sessions maybe like 3 to 5 times a week, depending on what it was. And obviously she's super forgiving. I coached her for free so that I could learn. It was like the traditional, like break the broom part, the broomstick. Yeah, thank you. The broomstick, go teach her the overhead squat. And that's basically how I did that. And so that turned into starting doing our intros at the time, like our foundations course. So teaching brand new people. Yeah. And then that transitioned into full-time, like actually coaching classes. I don't actually remember how many classes I was coaching at that point before affiliate ownership. But once we opened as Max Effort, I mean, those are 12-hour days. Those were, I'm opening the gym, sometimes not on time because mornings are not my jam. Embarrassing. Right. And then there until close. Mm-hmm. So, all day coaching, that kind of thing. Obviously, knowing what I know now, I'm like, that couldn't have been like super awesome.
You look at all this stuff, and we've talked about this before of like how you look at it and you're like, man, that couldn't have been awesome to coach that many classes in a row. Probably wasn't awesome for your business to take the newest coach and give those to the intros and have the first exposure to these potential new clients.
That was before, though. That was like, I didn't do the intros like when we opened as Max Effort, but that was, I agree. Either way, it doesn't matter.
It's not the best thing business-wise, but it couldn't probably have been any better for you as a coach because working with brand new people that have no idea what they're doing, that is the best way to develop. And then also the reps that you get in by doing those 12-hour days and coaching 5-6 classes a day, although they're not sustainable. It's like if you're doing that and doing that with an intent and purpose behind it, that volume of reps just is what allows you to start to develop.
Well, I'm thinking back to that time period, and like, this is before lesson planning was like this robust thing that we have now, and now we're educating people. And it's like, you're going to go into it with a plan, but it was mostly like teaching progressions for movements. There was not much else. So
even that, like that was
and
we
it was
didn't
like
have lecture notes at the seminars back
what
in
are
the
my
day.
steps to do this? And then back then I remember always like at the end of class when I had somebody that I just like, I had no idea what I could do to help make their mechanics better or how to communicate it, I would take those questions and then I would go find the answers to them before my next class. Something that was a really unique thing in the beginning of coaching in Las Vegas is that we would get a ton of drop-ins. And as a new coach in the very beginning, that was completely devastating. Because you're like, I don't know any of these people. I barely know what I'm doing. And now I have to have plan A through Z, depending on who's walking my door. And I used to hate it. And then I had to change my thinking around it. I was like, this is an opportunity for me to see more bodies. I honestly think that really played a huge role in fast tracking my growth and my learning and coaching. Because now it's like, I can go to a seminar and coach 60 new people I've never met before. Great. Cool.
Oh, yeah. Once you get past those initial stages of like struggling with the basics, new people are a godsend because they force you to refine your mechanics. It's like how I think it's so unfair that we got to be on staff because on staff it was
the
like
reps you get.
Dude, the reps you get.
Crazy.
You get 15 new people like 3 times a day over the course of 2 weekends every weekend, and you're like, make these people good fast, and you're like, well, I better be efficient, like.
And it's not long before it's like, everybody's different and new, but then you're like, no, you're doing the same thing that this third of every human being does, and then there's this third that does this other thing, and then there's this third.
Your body might look a little bit different because we're all unique humans, but like that loss of a neutral spine is the same thing as way down there. I can spot that no problem at this point.
When it looks like this in this way, this is how I fix it. When it looks like this the other way, this is how I fix it. You know what I mean? Like,
but what's interesting is you have to have those like reps where stuff's failing. You have to get the reps in where you're like, you're trying with the new people, because I think what happens to a lot of us in our gyms is like we get reps in with the same people all the time. And so these things that are kind of like weird patterns like work only with our people. And then we don't realize that it's just because we've built like these longer relationships that things are working the way they do. And the second you go try to do it somewhere else, you're like, this doesn't work. And it's like, it's minimally effective at best. Cause like I just wish more people could get that. More people could get that exposure to just like constant new people of like.
Well, how many people do we work with, and like with the knowledge, you'll get people that are on the calls asking to learn more, but then how many people are talking, they're like, hey, I'm traveling this weekend. I've reached out to this gym and I'm going to go drop in at their gym, not to work out. I'm going to drop in so I can coach one of their classes.
Totally.
And like, how badass is that? Because most people aren't willing to do that. But the amount of value that you get from doing that is crazy. And like you said, like, not only do you work with the same athletes over and over again, which makes your job easier, but a lot of times, I'll be honest with you, I think at like gyms that have really strong coaches are kind of at a disadvantage. Like if you come to my gym and Rena and myself are there and we're coaching most people and I still work with most brand new people, it's like I've kind of already cleaned up most of the stuff. And so by the time they're in my other coaches' classes, my other coaches haven't had the opportunity to struggle and work with those people that are really bad. Now we get a bunch of drop-ins and you get people that you have to work with, but not to the same degree that we do with tons of drop-ins at Max Effort or on seminars and that kind of stuff. So I think to your point, the more you can get out there and coach new athletes and new people in all kinds of different experience levels, the better you're going to be and the faster that process is going to get.
What an excellent opportunity to go drop in at somebody else's gym and coach a class, like, because you're in this little bubble when you're at your own affiliate. And I'm constantly feel like I'm telling even coaches at my own affiliate, it's like, hey, just because like you know how this person moves doesn't mean that's just how they move, and this is like
mobility.
okay,
It's mobility.
okay.
That's okay.
No.
They still need
mobility.
correction. Like we need to push them in the right. It's like, all right, we just like, well, that's just Jerry, you know, it's just what he does. All right, let's take you out of that box. That cue that's a magical cue for this person doesn't work on you know, every single body that you ever see and come in contact with that has the same fault. It's like, okay, now we're going to get pushed on a little bit to figure that thing out. Yeah. Which is incredibly valuable.
I think about it too in layers. It's like when we're first starting, we have to learn the basics of like, you know, go deeper, push knees out, like the cues that work for most people. And it's just focusing on the cue. It's like, okay, what are my faults? What are my points of performance? Can I see them? Can I give them? Can I say or do something that gets them better? And then, and we develop these patterns, and then we take it to the next level. Is like, okay, the weird ones, the people who move weird. Can I what is the nuancy stuff that I can dig deeper and like, oh, this person's special. How can I give them that? And then like, once those are all taken care of, and it's like not hard, because like where we're at with the number of years we have, it's not hard to get someone moving well really fast. And like all the basics are covered like that. There's nothing that interesting about that. It's like the next layer is like, how can we connect with these people on an individual level really quick? How can I have like a 5-line conversation with them for the first time and be like, ooh, I think I can get a sense of where we're going here, because it's infinitely interesting and the depth's all there. And it's like, I almost wish people could just get these implanted in their head and then go to the place of like, how can I individually.
But I don't think you would be as good up here if you could just get this stuff implanted. I think there's a journey in like being able to figure out how to connect with people by going through the process.
For sure.
Right?
For sure.
And I think that's an interesting thing, because I think that's one of the things that I witnessed Lindsay do really, really well. It's like, I can't tell you how many people I know that like.
I got to balance it out. You're shit. So if he's going to pump you up, like I got to go on this side. No.
But it's like she's, you know, I'm getting a text message and she's like, oh, I'm in Savannah with a picture of somebody, and I'm like, who is that? And you're like, oh yeah, I met him online on Instagram, or I did a seminar with him, and I'm like, and you're hanging out with him now? And I'm like, holy shit, like, clearly she's going above and beyond and making these connections. So like, what do you do either at these seminars, or what has allowed you to make those connections, or like, why does that happen so frequently with you?
That's a great question. I do hang out. You made that sound weird for a second there. Like, you meet people on Instagram.
He did make it sound weird. He's like, he sounds like an old man trying to describe social media.
Well, Ackerman just walked by. Like, I'll tell you right now that like, He had, to the same point, like I remember when Christian was going to come and stay with you at your house in Colorado, and you had just met him. You just said it in there, like how you met him online and you became friends via, social media and your Zoom calls and all that kind of stuff. And I'm talking to you and he's like, yeah, Christian's going to come and stay at my house. I'm like, what? Yeah. He's like, yeah, he's going to come stay for a couple of days. And I'm like, you don't even know him. I'm like, yeah, I'm on calls all the time.
But you and Pat are like, Pat will have homeless people come over
100%
and stay in his dome, and you're like,
Jason wants to come to my house. And
let me see.
You can walk in the house, but you can't use my bathroom. I don't want you to use it. Like, I'm the complete opposite of all of those things. So
I think it's just, there's some people that you just connect with a little bit more, or they tend to share a little bit more of their story, and you're like, oh, that is something that I've had in my journey. Or just people, I think really it's the people that want more information, and they are actively seeking how to be better in different ways, whether that's just as a human or as a coach. And you just, you vibe with certain people. And I think over the course of as many years that I've been doing this, it's like that reach has been, just gaining momentum over time. And I would like to think I'm like pretty decently funny to hang out with. I'm not everybody's cup of tea, that's for sure. I am not.
Nobody
but like,
is, right?
I mean, you make connections at a seminar, whether, it's at our social at the end of day 1 at a level 1, or just really getting to know people in depth at a level 2. It's, you just ask questions. And over the years, I've gotten better at doing that. I think Chuck for that kind of leadership in that way, but just getting to be interested in what they're like. In one of our lessons for on the coach development side of Affiliate University, and we talk about it in the knowledge too. It's what's the next question, and this is the most interesting person, and tell me about like you, and then you're just like, oh, I actually really like you beyond just CrossFit. So yeah.
Are you a CrossFit coach who's feeling stuck in their development? You're not alone. Many coaches lack good guidance when it comes to how to develop as a coach. They either don't have strong examples they find themselves around, they may lack support from their gym owner, and they just feel unprepared going into their next credential. That's why we made the Knowledge Pro, to fill that gap. It's a mentorship program built for coaches like you. It uses the Knowledge Daily, our comprehensive video library, as well as extra content that we put directly into the Knowledge Pro on our live weekly calls twice a week to mentor you and get you to the next level of development. We've got progressions, we've got scales, we've got one-off tips and tricks, we've got full coached classes by level 4 coaches so you can see an example of what it means to do this job well. All of that will also be walked through each week on those live calls, so that you have a soundboard to bounce off of and a group of coaches looking to be better to help support you in your endeavors. Coaching isn't just knowing what to do, it's also knowing how to do it. And that takes 2 things. 1, an example, and 2, practice. Practice is on your end, you got to go out there and do it. We can help provide that example and the support with the Knowledge Pro. If you want to know more, click the link below and give the Knowledge Pro a shot. I look forward to seeing you on one of the next calls.
I think there is something like to be said though for a certain type of person who, like yourself, one of the first things you resonated with was this desire to help. And you don't need a broken person that you can just help, but like there's something in you that's innate that's like, okay, I see a connection here that I not just want to help, like even if it's like, hey, you need a place to stay, yeah, you can stay here. It's not a problem for me. It doesn't disrupt my life, but it stems from that like deeper desire to help because and I struggle with this in my own head because I'm like, is this selfish? Because like I get something from this too. Like I don't know if this is truly altruistic because when I help you, I feel good. So and then you go deeper in the human organism and you're like, well, is there such a thing as true altruism if like I'm getting something from it?
Yes. Right.
So but then there's others who are like, my duty is not to bring you into my life. My duty is to help you out here. And if nothing beyond that, and I'm not going to say that that's you, Todd, but like
that's definitely Todd. I don't know.
But what I'm
that's
saying,
enough. Too close. Too close.
She was texting on the way here, and there was something that was like, "You're so mysterious" or some shit like that. Essentially, like, you don't ever give me shit.
Share.
Yeah, I don't share shit.
But like, and it's not that you don't have the desire to help, but you might not be stimulated in the same way.
Right.
With that, like, there's an intimacy to like, hey, come stay at my house. Like, let me meet up when I'm in a new town. There's a commitment on your side, but I would argue that you probably clearly get something from that interaction. Like,
I mean, that's not like something that we actively think like,
not at all.
What am I going to get out of this? But
not
it's
at
like,
all. But you're drawn to it.
Yeah.
And I think on a deeper level, that's the difference between somebody who's less, who doesn't have that same connection. Like you can still help people, you can still do all that stuff. Like, but it's like you're not going to be like come into my house and like hang out.
But also look at the environment we're in and the world we're in today, and the opportunity we have with social media. And you make mention of being able to connect with people on a different level and being like, hey, I connect with these people because we've been through similar struggles. Well, they only know that because you do this for sure, and you do the same thing. Like you guys put yourself out there an awful lot. You guys are on social media. You're sharing highs and lows and all of that kind of stuff, and people see that and can connect with you on that.
Right.
You know me, I'm a ghost, right, on that stuff.
Yeah.
And
Who's
so
Todd
I don't
Occhiuto?
get who is this guy, right? I'm not on there as much, and so if I'm not putting myself out there, there's not as much opportunity for people to
There is something
see
about
those
being
highs and lows
vulnerable, I
and
think.
struggles and stuff like that, right? And so I think that opens up the conversation. Now, what you do with that, and you guys have both proven really, really well to be able to take that and run with it is really, really cool.
I think that the thing to look at, though, is that we're going to be naturally inclined one direction or another, and then to learn how to not be stuck in that way. So like someone like us two, we have to learn to say no. We have to learn to where we put our boundaries, what type of a person is a taker and is just not going to give, there's no reciprocation of this back and forth. And is this actually detracting from my overall life? Because like, especially on social media, these people aren't, like, they're not real friends. Like, they can't be, because you don't know them. Like, it's a digital interaction. Like, I've never gone beyond, like, so when you meet them for the first time, you're like, oh, that was fine. And like, to me, that doesn't suck my energy. Like, but for my wife, like, if she met some random person, that'd be super draining. Like, she'd hate that whole thing. So for you, it's probably the same way. It's like, you have to like put out for an individual. That'd be extremely draining. So what we need to learn to do is like put boundaries on our time and our space. And you do just think about this with inside the box, the same thing. You get members who will take and take and take and take, and they're not actually even doing the work. They're just like taking more and more. And there comes a time where we, like us, need to put boundaries. Whereas probably you would be on the other side of things, is letting people in and being like, how can I have this deeper connection? What do I need to do in order to like actually be like, I can relate to that, or like reach out, or like set the event up, or like I'm going to stay longer than 8:30 at the gathering that I threw at the gym, you know, like.
Now we're talking Ackerman, right?
Right.
Hey, we're here till 10.
I'll be here for 30 minutes.
At 7:30. So like that's, but there is growth to be had on both sides of that. And we just kind of got to learn where we're naturally inclined, and then be like, you know what, I'm going to head this other direction a bit, or get a little uncomfortable this way.
I've gotten a lot better at that over the years. I think like probably my presence and how many people that I connect with sometimes probably feels overwhelming to you. But in my space, I'm like, I actually really picky about who I give my energy to. There's like a handful of people that I'm like, we can hang out. We cannot hang out.
Right. Well, and
you know, I like you.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I only have so much energy
for sure.
in me
And we can still help those people. Like we see them at a seminar, we'll see them and we're just
love
like,
to do
hey,
it. Yeah.
I will be here for you right now.
Absolutely.
But outside this,
like,
nah.
I need a nap.
I
need a nap.
Dude, you're talking to I got you on the nap. I got you on the nap, man. This is 3 straight days where I'm not getting my nap. You guys are going to see a zombie by Monday morning.
So, do you really take naps midday?
Most days,
do you know Todd's schedule?
I don't want to hear Todd's schedule.
Todd is very.
Who
he
was
has
it
a
that
whole.
Once I told
it's a whole thing.
It was Charlesworth, Andrew Charlesworth. I think I told my schedule to.
I asked your schedule. You need to know his outline of his schedule.
We can discuss that. It's changed a little bit actually.
I'm going to ask you on our podcast.
Yeah,
we'll do the whole thing.
Yeah, go through his schedule. It's pretty impressive.
So if you thought back on your history of the coaches you've had in your life, whether it be in the CrossFit space or otherwise, if you've been coached in other things, who stands out as like someone's like, this is the best coach I've had, and what made that the case? Or one of the best.
So I was trying to think about this, and it's like, that's a tough one because so many people have contributed to the overall thing, right? It's like not just one thing, but 3 in particular to coaching in general in this journey come to mind. And number 1 is, and this is, they're all for different reasons. So number 1, Zach Forrest. So my original mentor, and he did this. I don't know if he did it intentionally or unintentionally, but he did this by forcing me to go get the information myself. So I don't know if his not helping me actually helped me in the long term. But when I ask questions, obviously it's like, hey, what do you do in this scenario? But most of it he made me seek out for myself. And in the moment, I like hated him for it. I was like, just tell me the answer.
Right.
He was like, you need to go find the path yourself.
Right.
Go do this thing. And I was like, oh, shit. Fine. But that was incredibly impactful for my overall journey. And it gave me the tools to be able to have confidence in myself to figure it the fuck out.
Totally.
Sorry, can I cuss on that?
Absolutely.
Podcast? Okay.
Well, I mean, that's like, in my mind, that's one of the parenting 101 things that I see miss is like parents just do everything for their kids.
Go
and
do
it's
the
like,
thing.
No. They're like, hey, Dad, how do I do this? And you go, try to figure it out. Like, I'm here to support you.
Yeah.
But you can spend 15 minutes on it first before I'm going to help you.
Exactly.
So I love that he and I don't know. I wonder if he did that intentional.
I don't know. Probably not. I don't know.
Probably busy playing a video game. No, I can't. I'll lose. I'm on level 10 right now.
And for everybody
right on the
listening, Zach and Lindsay at one point in time were married.
Yes.
While also owning a business together.
Yes.
While also being mentor and stuff.
Yes.
So just context-wise, there's a lot there, and we love Zach for it.
Yes. Yeah. No. But I will always attribute, my passion and always like starting this thing off to his leadership, and I can never like downplay that at all because that's how it all started. He was when I say somebody encouraged me, he was the one that encouraged me to start coaching, and I literally, cliche as it is, it's like, it changed the entire trajectory of my whole CrossFit changed the entire trajectory of my entire life. Right. I have no idea what I would. I don't want to think about it.
Right. You know a lot about hair extensions.
I do.
So it could be in that realm.
Or she could be here in Vegas in a gutter.
You told me.
I could. I know, but that's
you went
that was
direction.
a private conversation. I'm just kidding. Everyone can know. Hair extensions are amazing.
They're amazing.
If
Apparently,
you want to look
everyone
like them,
has them.
If they have good hair, they probably have extensions.
These right here, these are extensions.
Those are actually, okay.
Yeah.
You have like little mini
little
tracks.
tiny ones. Yeah, little tracks. Okay, so who's another?
So then Joe Alexander and Chuck Carswell actually played really pivotal roles in my development in different ways. Joe Alexander developed honed my skill set as far as just, he's just like a savant, I feel like, in certain ways in the way that he communicates things. So he refined my skill set from where it was when I met him and started working with him in 2016. And just the way that the feedback from him was something that was like actionable and I could do it. I could literally go apply it immediately. And it was so, he said things like complicated things in really simplistic ways. Oh, weird. That's what we do as coaches, right?
Super weird. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
But delivering it to a coach is very different.
But he had a very just unique way, and it was just unassuming, and it wasn't overwhelming, and it was just like, you're going to go do this. And I'm like, and they'd explain it. I'm like, oh yeah,
I can do that.
And the manner that Joe does.
Yeah, well,
yeah. Well, maybe So that was coaching wise and delivery and some refinement there. And then Chuck, on the other hand, really helped with more of the peopling aspect and actually softening me a little bit because if you've ever met me, you know that I kind of come out of the gate a little hot and I can, no,
little hot.
Just
you were too hard. He made you soft.
Softer. I'm still, this is the way it needs to be done. I'm very much like, this is by the book and this is the path.
Yeah, I think you took
but the delivery
a can out of my
that.
hand.
I did yesterday. I did.
Yeah, I was gonna say you want to buy the book. You want to?
I literally did. Should we share that?
Oh, yeah, of course.
So we're running the group workout yesterday. You're outside teaching the push press. Pat's next to me teaching the box jump, and I'm doing on the burpee and just kind of managing general thing. And I look over in the middle of the workout, and Pat is walking around with a
Fit Aid can.
Yeah, Fit Aid can in his hand.
Mm-hmm.
Was he sitting on one of the boxes?
No, but he was just perusing around, coaching with a can. Mm-hmm. Yes, definitely. And I walked over, and I literally took it out of his hand, and I put it on a box.
Why did you take my Fit Aid?
He literally, I was like, because you wouldn't walk around in your class with a cup of coffee. He's like,
Well, Pat would.
Pat
would.
I was like 100%.
Yeah, you're like, I actually would.
Pat would.
Pat most definitely would.
I was like, Pat.
She's like, you wouldn't want with coffee? I was like, yeah, I would.
I was like, God.
In the morning?
And I was
like, yeah, I would with coffee.
And a PVC pipe. Yeah. Like 100%.
I'm just
poking
like,
at him like
100%.
I didn't give it back to you either. I set it down on a box far away from you.
You took it away. And I had to like walk over to my box and take a sip and then walk back around and coach everyone. And I was like, fuck. Damn it,
Yeah,
Lindsay.
I got actually coached during this. Thought I was just gonna cheer people on.
Here's my true statement. I don't think much coaching happens during a workout in my whole, I think if you've done your job up to the point of 3, 2, 1, go, during the workout, you're motivating and reminding. And neither of those things require much effort in my mind. So I plan my sessions to where by the time they hit 3, 2, 1, go,
Most of the heavy lifting's done.
all of the heavy lifting is done. Any lifting done in the workout is maybe like, oh, that person didn't scale quite right. And even then, that should be like something I did earlier on.
But doesn't people's technique break down
No.
via intensity?
No, not if you built a culture around that. Will it a little bit? Sure, but it's a reminder.
Your reminders you don't consider coaching. I would think it's just a different label.
Yeah, it's just
a different label.
I don't think it. I see coaches get really involved during the workout where they're like on top of it and they're like getting it and they're like, and I've seen people on staff do it and I'm like, that's way too much effort come workout time.
You didn't do your job beforehand. If that's the case.
Exactly. These people are fucking blinders on. They need to focus.
But it's still coaching. Like what your reminders, like, hey Pat, remember next time you pick up the bar, I want your hands a little wider, or
For
feet
sure.
a little bit closer.
It's still like, but those are so easy to do.
So easy. I can drink Fit Aids while I do them.
That's what I'm saying.
That's what's it.
Fit Aids, Monster
I
Energy
literally
drinks.
took it out of his hand.
Coffee,
After
yeah.
I did it too, I was like, did I just take a Fit Aid out of Pat Barber's hand?
Animals.
Damn straight. And
And then
I
I watched you like shamefully go over.
yeah,
his
and
like,
take a sip. And it's funny is you did it to me, and at first I was like, "Hey, fuck you," and then I'm like, "That's probably the wrong response." She's probably right. Like 100%. I was like,
that's how I
"Damn
feel
it,
with
Lindsay."
every
Like,
piece of feedback I always get. We get our Flow Master review emails, and I read through those. And whenever there's something that's not praise, I'm like, no, there's no way. And then I'm like,
but that's
right.
but I think what the wisdom is and like in the journey is like that time period between F them and they're probably right gets shorter and shorter and shorter because like right now,
except for when Lindsay submits my reviews and goes, I wish we didn't have to get up and leave for coffee at 7 a.m. I'm like, F you, we're not doing that.
I've never said that in feedback ever.
We're going to coffee when you work with me
Listen,
anyways.
you have taken me to some magical coffee places
You're right.
and also dinner. Like listen, you are not taking me to Whole Foods for dinner.
No.
We are going to go
not
find
doing that.
some. Yeah, we're going to
Austin
find.
Malleolo, you suck. I'll tell you, like, listen to this episode. I'm going to send this to you. You take your team to Whole Foods for dinner. You're breaking the core of what we do, you turd burglar.
I can always count on Todd for a culinary experience.
Fantastic, as it should be.
Yeah.
If I had you think about a very memorable coaching event of yours, whether it be funny or interesting or something, if I said, what's a memorable coaching experience you've had, what comes to mind?
This is a hard one too because, over the course of the years, I'm sure you guys experience this, and I'm sure the listeners do too. They've had some members over the years reach out to them and thank them for the impact that they had on their life. People that you're like, I had no idea that I made that kind of an impression on you. Who are you? Like a status person.
You don't say that, but
no, you don't say that.
You feel it.
Yeah, and you're like, wait, what? What was our interaction? I mean, I'm really glad that was the experience. So I was really thinking about this. I was like, gosh, who is one of like my most favorite clients? And I tell her story. There's a couple. So one is a client, and I tell her story in the nutrition portion at the level 1 and at the level 2. Real name, Kelly Smith. I'll shout her out right now. She actually lives here in Vegas. But it, and this is like one of the extreme stories. It's like, hey, she came in and we were at a weight that was massively, wildly unhealthy. And Kelly just trusted me out of the gate to take her down this path. And she could have not been like the more perfect client. But the point, it's not that she listened. It's the impact that it had on her and her brain that was the most powerful thing for me. Just watching her blossom and be confident and do all the things that she wanted to accomplish in her life and see that transcend into every aspect. And then later, her struggling to get pregnant and then ending up getting pregnant naturally by, I can't help but like think about that, like cleaning up her nutrition and normal.
No, that probably had no bearing
nothing
on it.
I can't. I'm not a doctor, so I can't say that. But
like
hormones in check.
Well, I know, but like, and then they got pregnant naturally, and I was just like,
it's awesome.
that whole journey is so. I get teary-eyed every time I talk about it. But then I also have one of my favorite coaching journeys of like a human that like I helped develop. Also, this story is kind of embarrassing for me because I think about the person I was 10 years ago when I was mentoring, and I'm like, ugh, ick.
Yeah, same.
And he will tell these stories about the time together, and I'm like, can you not tell that? That's embarrassing. Like, what? Here's one of the embarrassing stories. But I love this journey for him. Here's an embarrassing story.
You guys were out drinking until 3, and you had him instead of Jack and Coke.
It was in Vegas, but no,
what it was?
no. So
it was so impactful to mix my drinks with water.
His name's Juan. Again, Juan came to the gym, and he was super enthusiastic, and he wanted to be a coach so bad. And he had no coaching experience, but he was just fired up. So we had him be our front desk person first out of the gate. I was like, hey, you got to be a part of the community. That was his first role. And then we slowly got him there. There's a couple things. Funny story is that to get hired, he literally had to front squat 225. We made him front squat 225.
That sounds like Zach. That sounds like a Zach requirement.
The thing is that he went out and he like got amped up and like
just buried.
Dude, if you would have
buried.
When I started coaching, if you asked me to front squat 225, I would never start coaching.
Well, that's what the thing was, is because he was like, just keep building up his strength, and I didn't know if it's possible or not. Anyway, he crushed it. So that's the funny story. And then, so he was like the first point of contact, for the gym. So the impression there with new folks is kind of important. So we would answer our phones, which is also funny to me because I say and like, and I have filler words too. But he said it so much. Every time he would hop on a phone call, I'd be in my office, I'd come out, and I'd stand there. And every time he said, I would count. And at the end of his calls, I would make him do as many burpees as he did.
Oh my God.
How
That's awesome.
devastating is that?
How
How
Liz, guess what
horrible.
just happened the next time we work together in St. Augustine in 2 weeks? Every time you say like or okay, tally. She's doing burpees.
These are the embarrassing ass stories that he tells. He's like, it was great. It was so great. I learned so much. I was like, please.
I got so fit.
Please.
I got so fit answering the phone at your gym. When I had to take those calls, 100 burpees a call. It was amazing.
The point is that during that process, like he's the one that we talk about as far as like presence and attitude is concerned. Had a ton of that, but like none of the technical skills. And then it was like, hey, we can teach you the rest of this. This is great. But he went on to do magical things after he left Max Effort. He went out to Kauai to help with the Kiala Foundation. He ran that program for the kids program for like 6 years.
Yeah, good dude.
You know what? Yeah. And then now he literally made the transition into the pro golf world.
Yeah.
And this is what I know about that guy is that whatever he puts his mind to, he will do. And he will start at the lowest possible position. He will clean toilets and he will work himself up. He just got his pro card.
That's rad.
2 years of doing that. I'm just like, everyone else was doubtful of his journey. I'm like, no, he's going to do it. If he says he's going to do it, he's going to do it. It might take him a while, but he's going to do it. So
is he single?
He is still, yeah, he is. Why did you ask that?
I'm just like, I'm just seeing the way.
I love him. He's like my little brother.
Yeah,
Stop. Okay.
And he could be your husband.
My bad.
I'm just throwing it out there. But hey, Juan, if you're out there, hey, buddy.
You know where to find her.
You know where to find her. And
Lindsay
you
Marie.
heard how deeply she's, like, imagine what this guy could do with marriage if he put his mind to it.
Please stop.
Okay. Anyway, just throwing it out there.
Just on the edge.
Please
okay,
stop.
Just on the edge, deeply.
I hate both of you. Okay, so anyway, those are my favorite, like, obviously client versus bringing up another coach. So, I mean, those are great stories.
If you could go back to beginning Lindsay, day one, and tell her just one thing that you're like, I would love for you to know this, what would that be?
I feel like you can guess this.
I can't.
Imposter syndrome is wild.
That's exactly what I was going to say is, you're good enough. You're worthy. I was
Yeah.
going to give her a hug. If I could do one thing for Lindsay back then 10 years ago, I'd give her a hug. You're good. You're fine.
Yeah, you're worthy. You're worthy. I think that, wow, you just said it better than I could. Yeah.
You're worthy.
Todd knows me. Yeah.
When did you realize you were worthy?
This is...
Well, she'll text you as soon as she does.
Stop.
No, I'm sure there's still areas that you probably like, you do stuff, but in this space.
This is going to sound nuts.
Oh, I can answer this for you, right?
No, just be quiet, Todd. So this is going to sound crazy, but, there's been ups and downs and peaks and valleys in my career and choices that I made that weren't necessarily the best. And it wasn't until I passed my level 4. My level 4.
Yeah, you texted me that.
Last October, I was like,
that's awesome.
and when you mentioned it after that, I was like, no, Pat, that imposter syndrome's gone. Literally, when I got the results. So we hosted just so everybody that's listening knows, we hosted a private level 4 at our gym. So myself, Fern, Cassidy, and one of our other coaches, Jake, took it. My results were the last one to come in days after everyone else's.
Solid. That must have felt good.
They really had to decide. They were kind of like calling people in. What do you got? Should we push her over?
That's not how that
like
works. So everyone knows that's not how that works. So I'm refreshing my email. I'm at a gig. I'm at a midweek military gig, and I just keep refreshing my email constantly. And I'm sure everyone is like so annoyed with me. Then I get the results, and I thought I was stressed out before I got the results. There was just this wild, like, just dump of like,
yeah. Yeah.
It was just like a culmination of like my entire career.
Yeah.
Nope, you are doing what you should be doing. You are right where you're supposed to be. This is not a drill.
Yeah.
It is real, and you are really good at this thing.
Yeah.
And it literally, so just from the level 4, that transcended into so many other categories in my life. It was a wild, I think because I've been doing this for a long time, it's definitely a part of my identity and who I am. And I'm like, it was crazy. And that's not that long ago.
No.
So anyway, a major shift happened psychologically for me, which has been really great. Yeah.
That test is very meaningful. You know, like it's the to have markers that are actually that mean something. They're not just like time spent. You know, it's like time spent and capacity acquired. You know, and that's not just anything. So that's really cool. And like, it took a long time for you to feel that, and you need what's interesting is that's an external piece of validation, but it is a meaningful piece that then has set the tone for a lot of other like internal validated pieces.
Well, I think what was interesting is like, you know, you try to tell yourself, you're like, yeah, I believe in myself, and woo, yeah,
I'm good enough.
I'm doing
I'm
it.
I'm smart enough.
You is kind. You is beautiful. You know,
People like me.
And
people like
I'm good at this. It's just great, and then you just like don't really deep down believe it. And then that happened. I was like, nope, I believe it.
Yeah.
And it was an external validation,
still,
and not that I needed that.
You did.
Maybe I did
No, you
need
did
that.
need
Yeah.
that. You, like,
I guess
you
I
can
did.
say it. You
Yeah,
100%
I did.
needed
I
that.
needed that. And yeah. Wow.
It's something. Well, I think what the importance of that when I see it is it's something you couldn't fake, right? So like you could maybe justify, I've trained hundreds of clients and I've made them thousands of people better, and I've had so many people tell me I'm awesome.
I like that, like the imitation,
right? You like that one where looking away is doing the thing.
Yeah.
But this is one that it's like you can't fake.
Right.
Like you couldn't like. They're like, and I think that's really important. I think like that because even with people, when we tell ourselves like I can manipulate a conversation with someone to where they're gonna walk away and be like, yeah, that guy's pretty cool, and it's like when they didn't know that he's full of shit, you know, like, and you could always have that narrative going on in your head. But this was like this test you can't fake. You go out, you do it, and it's like.
And that was one of the things like going into it. It's like, okay, could I tidy up some stuff? I'm like, no, I'm going to go into this level 4 and I'm going to do exactly what I do on the floor every single day that I coach. And I want to be graded on the thing that I do every day. Yeah. Is that good enough?
Yeah.
Am I on the right track? Am I doing it? And that's the attitude. Obviously, I took some more time for my lesson planning and stuff like that, just to kind of go over and make sure there was no holes or gaps.
Yeah.
But I went in being fully authentically myself, and that is what I want to be judged on. And if that is good enough and I pass this thing, then I am doing the thing day in and day out.
Look at you.
It was wild.
Growing up.
I know. I'm like an adult finally.
Well,
kind of.
Where can all these people find you? Where do we find Lindsay?
Everybody.
Just tell me where you go.
She's everywhere.
Yeah, I literally. So I'm shifting gears a little bit. I'm definitely still in coach development for Best Hour, but I took on another position with Best Hour in enrollment. So I am practicing more peopling skill sets. And so what that means for me is that I get to travel less, and I am very excited about that because while I love my job, being on the road sometimes can be hard.
Yeah.
You know, no routine. It's challenging. You know, you sacrifice a lot of yourself and you pour into other people, and it's like, okay, I need to pour into myself too.
Yeah.
And so that transition's happening. So Virginia Beach right now, but stay tuned.
Ooh. Stay tuned to what?
Just stay tuned.
Just stay tuned. Stay tuned. It's not public. I'm
Don't
not
worry.
public.
We're not dropping anything.
Public, not public knowledge just yet.
Thanks for checking out this episode of Behind the Knowledge. Now, if you want help developing your coaching and to learn from us directly, check out The Knowledge Pro. There we host live calls with our coaches every week where we discuss content together and work on skills to improve our on-the-floor coaching ability. To learn more, you can head over to besthouroftheday.com/theknowledge. And if you found this content helpful, we're going to be releasing new episodes every week, so subscribe to the podcast and share it with a friend. Thanks again for listening, and we look forward to seeing you again next week.